So hearty welcome one and all to the second year pre-university course. Hearty welcome one and all to the second year pre-university course. Dear students, second year is the turning point of your life. So without wasting even a single minute, second year is the turning point of your life. So without wasting even a single minute, you have to work hard. 1 minute cannot change your life, but utilization of every minute will definitely change your life. 1 minute cannot change your life, but utilization of every minute will definitely change your life. Myself, V.M. Dudi, I am serving as a lecturer in biology since 2002. So total 16 chapters are there in biology. Total 16 chapters are there in biology, but the first unit, reproduction, is composed of 4 chapters. The reproduction in organism. First chapter is reproduction in organisms. Reproduction in organisms. Second, sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Second is sexual reproduction in flowering plant. Third is human reproduction. Fourth is reproductive health. So today, first I decided to switch over to reproduction in organisms. Reproduction in organism. All the living organisms, follow a definite pattern of life cycle, such as birth, growth, reproduction, senescence, all the living organisms follow a definite pattern of life cycle, such as birth, growth, reproduction, senescence, and death. Growth phase is also called as juvenile phase. In first unit, total 4 chapters are there. Total in biology 16 chapters are there, but first unit is composed of 4 chapters. Number 1, reproduction in organism. Second, sexual reproduction in flowering plant. Third, human reproduction. Fourth is reproductive health. Now look at first chapter, reproduction in organism. All the living organisms follow a definite pattern of life cycle. All the living organisms follow a definite pattern of life cycle, such as birth, growth, reproduction, senescence, and death. Growth phase is also called as juvenile phase. Growth phase is also called as juvenile phase. Or you can also utilize another technical term, vegetative phase. Growth phase is also called as juvenile phase or vegetative phase. Actually, the word juvenile is with respect to animals. Vegetative is with respect to plants. Growth phase is also called as juvenile phase in animals. Alternate term which is used with respect to plant is vegetative phase. So end of the vegetative phase is the beginning of reproductive phase. End of the vegetative phase is the beginning of reproductive phase. End of the vegetative phase is the beginning of reproductive phase. Reproductive phase can be easily noticed in the higher plant when they come to produce flowers. So all the living organisms follow a definite pattern of life cycle, such as birth, growth, reproduction, senescence, death. Growth phase is also called as juvenile phase in animal. Alternate technical term which is used with respect to plant is vegetative phase. End of the growth phase is the beginning of reproductive phase. Reproductive phase can be easily noticed in the higher plants. Reproductive phase can be easily seen or noticed in the higher plant when they come to produce flowers. For that, I will provide two beautiful examples. Number one, bamboo. Bamboo is one of the longest growing grass. For need purpose, please remember this point. Bamboo is one of the longest growing grass. Second point, back to PUC first year, chapter Anatomy of Flowering Plant, where I come across classification of meristem. Actually, meristems are classified based on different criteria. Among them, one is based on position in the plant body. Based on position in the plant body, meristems are classified into three types: apical meristem, intercalary meristem, lateral meristem. Please remember this slide. Rapid elongation of the bamboo shoot. Rapid elongation of the bamboo shoot is due to activity of intercalary meristems. So dear students, I request you to remember 2 points for need purpose. Number one, bamboo is one of the longest growing grass. Second, rapid elongation of the bamboo shoot is due to activity of intercalary meristems. Rapid elongation of the bamboo shoot is due to activity of intercalary meristems. Now move to related to this chapter. Bamboo produces flower once in their lifetime. Bamboo produces flower only once in their lifetime, generally after 50 to 100 years. Bamboo produces flower once in their lifetime, generally after 50 to 100 years. Okay, second example. Strobilanthus kuntiana, commonly called as Neelakuranji. Korean. Second example, Strobilanthus kuntiana is commonly called as Neelakuranji. It produces flower once in 12 years. Strobilanthus kuntiana is commonly called as Neelakuranji. It produces flower once in 12 years. Generally, it produces flower in the month of September to October. It produces flower generally in the month of September to October. Mass flowering of this plant has converted hilly tracts of Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu into blue color structures that will attract a number of tourists. Look for my line carefully. End of the growth phase or end of the vegetative phase is the beginning of reproductive phase. End of the vegetative phase is the beginning of reproductive phase. Reproductive phase can be easily seen in the higher plants when they come to produce flower. For flower, I quoted 2 examples. Okay, number one, bamboo, one of the longest growing grass. Rapid elongation of the bamboo shoot is due to activity of intercalary meristem. Bamboo produces flower once in their lifetime, generally after 50 to 100 years. Second example is Strobilanthus kuntiana, commonly called as Neelakuranji. Strobilanthus kuntiana is commonly called as Neelakuranji. It produces flower once in 12 years. It produces flowers once in 12 years, Generally, it will produce flower during the month of September to October. Mass flowering of this plant has converted hilly tracts of Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu into a blue color structures that will attract a number of tourists. Please remember 1.4 CT purpose. So, if you are in the CRT book, a given Stropilanthus kuntiyana has produced a flower in 2006. For this, you have to add 12 years. So it is 2018. Already in 2018, this Stropilanthus kuntiyana has produced flowers. Next expected year is 12 you have to add. So it is 2030. So in 2030, we'll get an opportunity to see the beautiful flowers of Stropilanthus kuntiyana, or you can call it as a Neelakuranji. End of the reproductive phase is the beginning of senescence. End of the reproductive phase is the beginning of senescence. So senescence is nothing but aging. End of the vegetative phase is the beginning of reproductive phase. End of the reproductive phase is the beginning of senescence. So senescence is nothing but aging. Senescence is nothing but aging. A lot of changes are noticed during senescence. Okay, a lot of changes are noticed during senescence. One beautiful example is slowing of metabolism. Slowing of metabolism. So, end of the reproductive phase is the beginning of senescence. During senescence or aging, lot of changes are noticed, including slowing of metabolism. Go to first year, where I come across this technical term. Metabolism means some total chemical reactions. Metabolism means some total chemical reactions. It includes anabolism and catabolism. I don't want to extend my explanation. Just remember online. End of the reproductive phase is the beginning of senescence or aging. During senescence, lot of changes are noticed, including slowing of metabolism. Metabolism means some total chemical reactions. Metabolism means some total chemical reactions. It includes anabolism and catabolism. Now look over three groups of plants. Based on that, I am going to provide you one important statement. Animals, biennials, perennials. So look at the three groups of plants: animals, biennials, perennials. Animals will complete their life cycle within 1 year or 1 season. Animals will complete their life cycle within 1 year or 1 season. Biennials will complete their life cycle within 2 years. Perennials will live for many years. In animal and biennials, you can easily identify vegetative phase, reproductive phase, and senescence phase. Look over their classification of plants. Animals will complete their life cycle within 1 year or 1 season. Animals will complete their life cycle within 1 year or 1 season. A beautiful example is sorghum. Biennials will complete their life cycle within 2 years. Example is radish and cabbage. Example is radish and cabbage. Perennials will live for many years. Another example is mango. And please remember this slide. In animals and biennials, you can easily distinguish vegetative phase, reproductive phase, and senescence phase. In animals and biennials, you can easily distinguish vegetative phase, reproductive phase, and senescence phase. But in perennials, it is very difficult for you to define these three phases. In animals and biennials, you can easily distinguish vegetative phase, reproductive phase, and senescent phase. But in perennials, it is very difficult for you to distinguish or define these three phases. Dear students, it may be a plant body or it may be an animal body. Hormones are held responsible. It may be an plant body or it may be an animal body. Hormones are held responsible for the transition between these three phases. It may be a plant body or it may be an animal body. Hormones are held responsible for the transition between these three phases. Back to the first year chapter, structural organization in animals, where I come across glands under the two types. Glands are broadly classified into two groups: exocrine glands and endocrine glands. Glands with the duct is called as exocrine glands. Glands without the duct is called as endocrine glands. Okay, move to first year. Try to track this point. Glands are broadly classified into two groups: exocrine glands and endocrine glands. Glands with the duct is called as exo. Glands without the duct is called as endocrine glands. Okay, so secretion of the endocrine gland is called as hormones. Hormones are commonly called as chemical messengers. Okay, so that ends introduction to your new chapter. Now move to important points. Okay. Period from birth to natural death. Period from birth to natural death of an organism is called as lifespan. Period from birth to natural death of an organism is called as lifespan. Period from birth to natural death of an organism is called as lifespan. Now, I will provide you a list of organisms with their lifespan. List of organisms with their lifespan. So here, dear students, in the introduction, have come across all the living organisms will follow a definite pattern of life cycle, such as birth, growth, reproduction, senescence, death. So growth phase is also called as vegetative phase in plants. Alternate word which is used in animal is zoonite phase. Then I have for an important line. In angiosperms or higher plants, you can easily notice reproductive phase, because during reproductive phase, plants will produce flowers. Under that I quoted two examples. One is strobilanthes, second is bamboo. Under senescence, I request you to remember one important line. Lot of changes are noticed during senescence, including slowing of metabolism. Followed by that, I come across animals, biennials, perennials. In animals and biennials, you can easily distinguish vegetative phase, reproductive phase, and senescence phase. But in perennials, it is very difficult for you to define these three phases. It may be a plant body or it may be an animal body. Hormones are responsible for the transition between these three phases. Followed by that, we have come across meaning of lifespan. Period from birth to natural death of an organism is called as lifespan. Period from birth to natural death of an organism is called as lifespan. Now look over list of organisms with their lifespan. List of organisms with their lifespan. May fly just one day. Butterfly 1 to 2 weeks. 1 to 2 weeks. Fruit fly 1 month. House fly 1 to 4 months. I am providing the list of organisms with their lifespan. Mayfly just one day, butterfly 1 to 2 weeks, fruit fly 1 month, housefly 1 to 4 months. Please remember one line. I am expecting that you have seen the housefly. Same way, housefly and fruit fly looks more or less, but fruit fly is having red eyeballs and little bit it is large in size. Fruit fly is commonly called as Cinderella of genetics. Fruit fly is commonly called as Cinderella of genetics, or you can call it as a vinegar fly. Fruit fly, scientific name is Drosophila. It is commonly called as Cinderella of genetics or vinegar fly. Rice 4 months. Rice 4 months. Rose 5 to 7 years. Dog 16 to 18 years. 16 to 18 years. Horse 30 to 40 years. 30 to 40 years. Lion, banana, cow 25 years. Crow 15 years. Parrot 140 years. Later I will provide one important statement related to this crow and parrot. Lion, banana, cow 25 years. Crocodile 60 years. Elephant 90 years. Tortoise 100 to 150 years. Banyan tree 200 years. To Korea, the list of organisms with their lifespan. Dear students, you refer only NCERT book. When you go through other authors' book, so lifespan varies. So, but standard one is NCERT book that you have to prepare. Mayfly just one day. Butterfly 1 to 2 weeks. Fruit fly 1 month. Fruit fly 1 month. Housefly 1 to 4 months. Rice, or you can call it as a paddy 4 months. Rose is a symbol of love. Lifespan is 5 to 7 years. Dog, one of the most faithful animals. Lifespan is 16 to 18 years. Horse 30 to 40 years. Cow, it is worshipped by Hindus. Banana and lion, lifespan is 25 years. Cow, banana, lion, 25 years. Crow, 15 years. Parrot, 140 years. Crocodile, 60 years. Elephant, one of the largest land-living mammal. It is one of the largest land-living mammal. Lifespan is 90 years. Tortoise 100 to 150 years. Don't pronounce it as a tortoise, it is tortoise. Lifespan is 100 to 150 years. Banyan tree or you can call it as a ficus bengalensis. Lifespan is 200 years. Now, followed by this entire chart, I'll note one important statement. Please remember this statement and along with two beautiful examples. We have seen crow and parrot. Both the birds are more or less of the same size. Crow and parrot are more or less of the same size. But look at the lifespan. Crow is just 15 years, parrot is 140 years. So, along with that, remember one statement: lifespan of the organism. Lifespan of the organism is not necessarily correlated with their size. Lifespan of the organism is not necessarily correlated with their size. Under that first example is called. Second, I selected from the plant kingdom. Example is mango. Lifespan is 200 years. People tree. Lifespan is 2,500 years. First example is birds, crow and parrot. Lifespan of the crow is 15 years, parrot 140 years. Second example from the plant kingdom or plant community. Mango is 200 years, pupil tree is 2,500 years. Finally, once again, I am requesting you to remember this statement: lifespan of the organism is not necessarily correlated with their sizes. Lifespan of the organism is not necessarily correlated with their sizes. So that means the list of organisms with their lifespan. So dear students, I requested you to go through only NCERT book. Okay, don't refer other authors because slight fluctuation in number they have mentioned. Next matter is reproduction. Next matter is reproduction. All the living organisms are mortal. All the living organisms are mortal. They are going to die in one or the other day. But before their death, all the living organism will produce its own kind of organism. So, dear students, it is known fact that all the living organisms are mortal. They are going to die in one or the other day. But before their death, all the living organism will produce its own kind of organism so that the generation should be continued. And this process is called as reproduction. So repeat this after. All the living organisms are mortal. They are going to die in one or the other day. But before their death, all the living organism will produce its own kind of organism so that the generation should be continued. So this process is called as reproduction. Or reproduction is a process. Reproduction is a process by which an organism produces its own kind of organism. Reproduction is a process by which an organism produces new individual of its own kind. New individual of its own kind. What statement I covered is no more related to unicellular organism. You know already, unicellular means it is made up of single cell. There is no natural death. There is no natural death in the unicellular organism. There is no natural death in unicellular organism because parental cell will undergo division and produces two daughter cells. So look over, let me repeat the matter once again and take care of this statement. All the living organisms are mortal. They are bound to die one or the other day, but before their death, all the living organism will produce its own kind of organism so that the generation should be continued. Or reproduction is a process by which an organism produces its own kind of organism, own kind of organism. So this is the statement which is more related to unicellular organism, because in unicellular organism there is no natural death. Parental cell will undergo division and produces two daughter cells. Parental cell will undergo division and produces two daughter cells. Right? So please remember two more points. The process of reproduction. The process of reproduction is controlled by habitat. Process of reproduction is controlled by habitat, internal physiology. The process of reproduction is controlled by habitat, internal physiology, and genetic material. The genetic material includes DNA and RNA. The process of reproduction is controlled by habitat. Habitat is nothing but a dwelling place. For example, Gulbarga is my habitat. Gulbarga is my habitat. So habitat is nothing but a dwelling place. Internal physiology. Physiology is a branch of biology which deals with the study of vital functions. Physiology is a branch of biology which deals with the study of vital functions, important functions like digestion, circulation, respiration, excretion, nervous, and reproduction. Genetic area includes both the DNA and RNA, deoxyribonucleic acid and ribonucleic acid, that you are going to study in detail in molecular basis of inheritance. Both DNA and RNA, both DNA and RNA will act as a genetic material. Now the significance of reproduction. It will enable the continuity of the species generation after generation. It will enable the continuity. It will enable the continuity of the species generation after generation. Now move to first year. This word you have come across in the first year. Species is the basic unit of classification. Species is the basic unit of classification, and the word species is applied to a distinct kind of organism where all the members are similar and they can interbreed each other to produce an fertile offspring. So dear students, this is a technical term I have come across in QC first year. So as a part of my duty, I will repeat this word. Species is the basic unit of classification where I come across first year: kingdom, division, class, order, family, genus, species. So species is the basic unit of classification, and the word species is applied to a distinct kind of organism where all the members are similar and they can interbreed each other to produce a fertile offspring. So look over. Reproduction is a process by which an organism produces new individual of its own kind. It will enable the continuity of the species generation after generation. The process of reproduction is controlled by habitat, dwelling place, internal physiology, and genetic material. Reproduction are broadly classified into two groups: asexual and sexual. Reproduction are of two types: asexual and sexual. First, I will introduce asexual reproduction, then you are going to study sexual reproduction. Okay? So, reproduction are of two types: asexual and sexual. So, first look over asexual reproduction, then I will introduce sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction Asexual reproduction is also called as agamogenesis. Agamogenesis means gametes are not produced. Asexual reproduction is also called as agamogenesis because gametes are not produced. Now, the question arises, what is this gametes? Gametes are highly specialized. Gametes are highly specialized haploid sexual cells which take direct part in the process of fertilization. Gametes are highly specialized haploid sexual cells which take direct part in the process of fertilization. Haploid means it contains single set of chromosome. Haploid means it contains single set of chromosomes. Haploid is denoted as small m or small x. Reproduction are broadly classified into two groups: asexual and sexual. Asexual reproduction is also called as agamogenesis because gametes are not produced. Gametes are highly specialized haploid sexual cells. Highly specialized haploid sexual cells. Haploid means it contains single set of chromosomes. Highly specialized haploid sexual cells which take direct part in the process of fertilization. Haploid means it contains single set of chromosomes. It is denoted as small n or small s. Okay. Now, one more alternative is there. It is also called as somatogenic asexual reproduction is also called as somatogenic reproduction because generally it is noticed in the somatic cells. So my body is having two group of cells: vegetative cell, or you can call it as a somatic cells. Another one is germ cells, or you can call it as a reproductive cells. Asexual reproduction is also called as somatogenic reproduction because daughter individuals are produced by the somatic cells. Daughter individuals are produced by the somatic cells, or you can call it as a vegetative cells. Okay, now the definition: production of an offspring, production of an offspring by a single parent. Production of an offspring by a single parent without the formation and fusion of gamete is called as asexual reproduction. Production of an offspring by a single parent without the formation and fusion of gamete is called as asexual reproduction. The individual which are produced through asexual reproduction is almost identical to their parents. So look over my lines. Production of an offspring by a single parent without the formation and fusion of gamete is called as asexual reproduction. The individual which are produced through asexual reproduction is almost identical to their parents. Therefore, the term clone is used to designate such an organisms which are morphologically and genetically similar. So the term clone is used to describe such individuals which are morphologically and genetically similar. Already you are familiar with the term morphology in first year. Morphology is a branch of biology which deals with the study of external characters. Genetics is a branch of biology which deals with the study of heredity and variation. So later we will come to know this genetics in detail and types of asexual reproduction. I will switch over tomorrow. Under that you are going to study cell division, binary fission, budding. Under budding there are two types are there, zoospores and conidia. So types of asexual reproduction I will discuss tomorrow.
Mahesh, Mahesh.